Hello YouTube family, welcome back to my channel. My name is Imani and you are watching Faith by Design. This is my student loan debt confession video. So if this sounds like something you are interested in, please keep watching. So much for clicking on this video. If you are a new subscriber as well as a returning subscriber, I appreciate you so much. Thank you again for tuning in. So we're going to get right into it because I have a lot to discuss in a little bit of time. But if you hear some noise in the background, I have my dryer going as well as my fan because it is still hot in here. So we're going to get right into it. So today I'm making my student loan debt confession video. I always wanted to make this video, but I was a little bit apprehensive. If you see my first upload of my debt confession video from March 2022, you'll see in the thumbnail that it has a part 1. So this is part 2 because I've always wanted to share this, but I always like to tackle debts pretty much a little bit at a time so I won't get overwhelmed. So I didn't include our mortgage in my first debt confession video. I didn't include my student loans because they were massive and I didn't want to feel pressure to really include them knowing that I'm not really at a place to pay them off. So just the monthly payments we were making and tracking the progress, but not really attacking it like some of the other high priority debts. So finally, we're here to make this video. If you can tell by the thumbnail, I did have my student loans forgiven through public service loan forgiveness, and I will reveal how much it was. Let's go ahead and talk about first how much I owed. So before I actually give you the number, just so you know, my student loans consisted of my undergrad loans as well as a Parent Plus loan, which was from my oldest daughter who's in college now. I do have another daughter, my middle daughter, who is also starting her first year of college, but I didn't take out any Parent Plus loans with her, but with my oldest daughter, I did. And so those two are included in my student loan amount. So what did I do in order to apply for public service loan forgiveness? I went to studentaid.gov, and I'm pretty sure if you've taken out a loan of any kind, whether it's a Parent Plus loan or any federal loan, you should be able to go on that website and check out your loan history, your balance, and how many payments you've made and whether it's been transferred to another lender, etc. So I would encourage you, if you're curious to know how much you owe and your student loan history, just to see how many payments you've made, all of that should be on studentaid.gov. So previously, before I knew about what PSF, we're just going to say PSLF for short, but before I knew about what PSLF was, I was under the impression that I could not get my loans forgiven because I didn't really know about the whole public service thing. I took my current job right out of, well, not right out of, but maybe a few years after graduating from undergrad, and I've been there ever since. I have taken on different roles within that amount of time, but I have been with my current employer for about 18 years. My middle daughter was about 3 months when I started. Yeah, and so the whole time, like maybe a few years ago, I started receiving emails and calls about you can get your student loans forgiven. And every time I would tell them what kind of loans I had, I was under the assumption that I had private loans. I did start out with federal loans. This is my undergrad loans I'm referring to right now, but I did start out with federal loans. I did end up getting into a default because I was not able to make the payments and I ran out of my deferment and forbearance options. So I was not able to make any more payments because I couldn't make them at the time. I couldn't afford to make them. So I was not able to do any of those. And so I ended up going into default for about a few months. And then I was able to talk to the the Student Loan Rehabilitation Program, which is still partnered through the federal Department of Education. And so I was able to get back in good standing after making consistent payments within a year. So I got out of default, and then my loans were transferred to another lender. So once they were transferred to another lender, which was AES, but I was making payments to those, and I was under the impression that my loans were private because it's pretty much a private student loan company, but they also manage federal loans. I was not aware of that. I just assumed they were private. So I also was under the assumption that I could not get my loans forgiven. Long story short, so about a year and a half ago, my current employer decided to partner with another company to make payments each month. As long as you made your student loan payments each month, they would make payments up to $1,000. And so the monthly payment they would make was $100 a month. So my employer had this program that they started as a benefit to their employees. I checked into it, and I was told that my loans were an FFEL loan. So they did qualify for student loan forgiveness. So once I found that out, I also had to, one of the stipulations with the public service loan forgiveness is that you have to work for a qualifying employer, which I work for a nonprofit organization. And so that I met the requirement there. Another one is that you must consolidate to a direct loan, and you have to make 120 qualifying payments. I knew that I had been making payments, but I was not necessarily aware of the ins and outs, so I just decided to apply. Now, about that same time, I was doing research and found out about the PSLF waiver. So the PSLF waiver was something that was passed in April of 2022, and basically it said that because they had so many problems with people not getting their loans forgiven after 120 payments, they would go back and count periods of forbearance and deferment as long as you apply by October of 2022 with the waiver, so that way they can go back and count past payments of forbearance and deferment included in your 120 payments. So because I knew that I was making payments, and then I also had periods of deferment and forbearance, I went back on studentaid.gov to count my payments. So at that point, once I made those calculations, I determined that I may qualify for PSLF forgiveness. So the last thing I needed to do was consolidate my loan to a direct loan. Now, even though if you check on their website, it tells you the steps of what you need to do, it also gives you a stipulation as far as what loans you need to consolidate. So I would highly recommend you read the fine print and check on there which loans you need to consolidate, because if you consolidate the loans, sometimes it may not benefit you and sometimes it may benefit you. In my instance, I was pretty sure that I met the qualifying payment amount because of the length of time that I had been with my employer, as well as the amount of payments I had made, as well as my forbearance and deferment period. So I consolidated both my undergrad loan as well as my Parent Plus loan. Now, I waited a whole year pretty much and hadn't heard anything. So the whole time my employer was making payments with a third party, even during the COVID pause. And once I consolidated to my current servicer, which was Nelnet at the time, when I first consolidated to Nelnet, I didn't have to make any payments until, the consolidation went through. And then after that, they allow you to do a forbearance. So I was on forbearance because of that, as well as because of the COVID pause. So in July of 2023, I received a notification from the Department of Ed that my Nelnet servicer, my Nelnet servicer, student loan servicer, was being transferred to Mohila. Now, Mohila is a servicer that calculates your PSLF payments to see if you meet the 120 payments. So by them transferring me to Mohila, I figured I was on the right track, and all they had to do was calculate it. But I still hadn't heard anything. So yeah, so I had just been waiting and waiting to see. I did get a notification from them that they calculated my payments, and this was maybe a week before August had really started. So when I logged in to see how many payments they calculated, it was only 7. So I was really devastated. And not to mention, once they got the balance of how much I would have to make once the payments resumed in October, my payments were going to be about $800 a month since I consolidated both my Parent Plus loan and my undergrad loans together. I knew I could not afford $800 payments. There was no way. But one of the stipulations when you consolidate to your loan, your fill loan with your Parent Plus loan, anytime you consolidate with the Parent Plus loan, you automatically have to get on the income contingent plan, which is one of the higher plans. So it's not the income driven plan where it's like lower payments. This was the only plan you can get on, which is ICR, I believe, income contingent plan. So I was really feeling at that point like I made a mistake, and maybe I shouldn't have included my Parent Plus loan, because I really did have that option. And they said when I was reading back over the fine print that you really should only consolidate that loan with your other loans if you feel you have made 120 payments. So I did. And so I was just praying that I would hear something back before the payments resumed, which we all know the payments will start resuming in October. And I think interest starts September 1st. So to make a long story short, even though I've said that quite a few times, I found out on August 16th when I logged in and I received an email from the Department of Education that my loans had been forgiven. So yes, I could not believe it. It took me a minute to really have that sink in. So I logged in to check what my balance was, and my balance showed 0. Okay, so do you want to know how much I owed in student loans? Of course, to this date, because they started out significantly less when I graduated, and then over time it kind of ballooned because of interest, and then I also added my Parent Plus loan on. So, and then with the Parent Plus loan, I did not end up taking out any more loans as of now, because we have been cash flowing my daughter's tuition. And so I wanted to just try to do that and avoid, if I could, any more loans at this point, because everything has been wiped out. So let me show you how much I have had forgiven. Yes, $85,095 have been forgiven. Yay! I am so excited. You have no idea how excited I am. I cannot believe it. It's still sinking in that my loans have been forgiven. I'm so thankful to God. I'm so thankful that I waited just patiently just to make sure everything would go through. The process took about a year for me to find out. So if you are still waiting, I pray that everything works out, and hopefully it works out in your favor. So I just wanted to say that please check into this program if you may feel that you can qualify for PSLF forgiveness, because it actually is happening for quite a few people. There's also something called the IDR forgiveness, where if you're on that payment plan, they will make a one-time account adjustment. All of that information is on studentaid.gov. So if you are able to also speak with like a student loan consultant, that might be helpful, because a lot of things are kind of like vague. I mean, it's in black and white, but then the process, it kind of feels like you don't know if it's actually going to work or not. So I would encourage you to speak to someone. I did end up calling someone before I found out that my loans were forgiven, and they assured me that they are on a backlog, because they literally have to check everyone's account. Even if you've applied for the waiver, if you've not applied for the waiver, if you're on IDR, if you're not on IDR, they are still working to find out if you will get some type of forgiveness. So I'm not a financial advisor, but I just wanted to put this information out here in case it can apply to you, and maybe it'll be beneficial for someone who's looking to see if maybe they will qualify. Like I said before, I had no idea I actually qualified until I started really digging deeper into the whole thing and just taking a chance at applying. So I encourage you to do the same if it sounds like something that could possibly benefit you. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I'm so excited that I am now $85,095 not richer, but my net worth has increased by that amount. So I just want to say that I'm very thankful and humbled and blessed, appreciative, and I'm so thankful to God because it's like a miracle. I feel like I had a debt-free screen, but you know, that's just one portion of the debt. But I'm just so excited and can't wait to see what else can happen with my debt payoff journey, because I still am on a payoff journey of debt. And so please stay tuned for more, because we did have some other things that happened with the debt, and I will be doing another update at the end of September, which is Q3. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day, be blessed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.